Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another Lunch and Learn episode. These sessions are free and open to everyone, so feel free to mention these to your colleagues, friends, suppliers, customers as well. So each month, the registration link is advertised on the homepage of our website, so just search PS Tech in your favorite search engine. Now, this month's episode is all about passwords. And I don't know about you, but I am fed up with passwords. There are so many. How do you feel? Well, let's get stuck in, and I want to share with you some great insights and tips about passwords. Now, just a little disclaimer before we carry on, which this is a very short session, so we can't cover every possible risk or all the tips that are out there and features of passwords. This is just a distillation with a view to get you thinking better about password management. So I'm going to jump into a few slides before we do our live demonstration and show you some tips. So let me just do a screen share. Okay, so what types of passwords do we have to deal with on a daily basis? Because like you, I'm sure you have a lot of passwords to manage. We have our work passwords where we've got the password to our computer, our email, our files in the cloud, our Teams, our CRM, our VoIP, our social media. You may even have a business Amazon account and more. But we also have to deal with our personal passwords as well. So our personal email, we may have an Apple or Google account for our phone. There'll be a PIN code for our phone, our banking, our different shopping outlets we use, energy, insurance, social media, and Amazon, again, just as a minimum. So let me just share with you some stats from some recent studies about passwords. The average number of passwords that we have to deal with at work alone is numbered around 85. Now, that came from a survey from LastPass. Another survey said that 42% of people rely on their memory to remember their passwords. They're clearly better than I am. And yet another survey said that 78% of people had to change their password in the 3 months prior to this particular survey. So people are having to remember new passwords all the time as well. And this last statistic, well, this is the worrying one. This is the result of the three that we've just mentioned. Employees reuse a password an average of 13 times. That means their email, their laptop, their files in the cloud, their Teams, their phone, their CRM, their social media, their Amazon, they're all the same password. Well, this is worrying because it means we just have too many passwords to remember. And that means we may be forced or tempted into making our lives easier by trying to reuse passwords or sticking them somewhere where it's easy to remember or access when we need them. When we pick easy passwords to remember, that makes it easy for us, but it also makes it easier for someone who wants to gain access to your account. And they can use social media profiling to find out about you and what your possible password might be, maybe a phishing email, or they could just use a simple brute force attack. And if it's a simple password, it only takes a few seconds to happen. And this is all because people use the same password and keep it simple. And if a hacker or a bad guy gets access to one account with one of those passwords, well, guess what? It means they have access to all the other accounts because we're reusing passwords. Let me just make you laugh. When we have too many passwords to remember and we don't have a proper strategy to deal with them, well, this is what can happen. Let me just show you a picture of a laptop that returned to our offices just a couple of weeks ago. So the password to the laptop was sellotaped to the keyboard. Love it. What are some of the risks from poor password practice? Well, let's just consider what they look like for those who do use poor password practice. For a start, we just mentioned phishing. Now that leads to something called business email compromise, which is currently the #1 method that is used by hackers, criminals, threat actors to access a business email account. And that then leads to fraud. That could be the misdirection of communications or invoices or even money. And we see regularly reported small businesses being targeted this way, losing 10, 20, 30, £100,000 in misdirected funds. That is a worrying trend, all from giving away and not managing passwords properly and having weak passwords. Now, if you're active online, losing access to your social media can be pretty catastrophic. Having it defaced, having it deleted can be the loss of years of hard work. and reputational damage as well. That is becoming increasingly common as well. If we have a WordPress website or something something similar, we've seen websites that are defaced with political messages, or they're hacked to generate cryptocurrency for the bad guys, or pop-up gambling sites designed to steal other people's money, all under your domain name, and all because of a weak password. And potentially the next one, data theft. Well, this is probably the one that's the most costly to business and comes as a result of poor passwords. Once a threat actor has access to your Microsoft, your Google, or your server account, they can steal your data. They then encrypt what they leave behind so you can't access it. They then threaten to sell that data online and demand a ransom from you to get that data back and to prevent that sale. Do you think they're likely to give you access to your data and not sell it even if you pay them? It's unlikely. They're criminals. In fact, they can double their earnings by selling it anyway. And these risks, they can affect us personally as well at home. So as a result of weak passwords, someone can assume your identity. They can apply for credit. They can get a new SIM card with your number on it. They can apply for a bank account, a replacement national insurance number, passport, just because they have access to your accounts and in turn, your information. So what does good password practice look like? So here are our tips. Create and use unique passwords for every account. Don't reuse passwords. Make sure those passwords that you create are strong. They are long and complex. Now you think, well, how can I remember those? Well, one strategy is the 3 random word technique. And this is where you would pick 3 random words, maybe mix the case, put some numbers and special characters in there, and you get a long password. And we've got an example on screen there. Don't change your passwords frequently. That can encourage bad practice as well. The tip is only change your password if you believe it's been compromised. Now, there may be compliance reasons or business policies that dictate you have to change certain passwords. That's fine. But generally speaking, it's not required that you change your email password every 3 months. To make your life easier, if you've got it available on your laptop or your phone or tablet, use biometrics. Fingerprint, Face ID, a security key. These things remove the friction for having to remember and enter passwords all the time. Use multi-factor authentication or 2-factor authentication wherever possible on all accounts. In fact, all should be in capital letters there. This prevents over 99% of attacks on accounts if your password is compromised in some way, but it doesn't remove the requirement to follow good password practice. And our tip, the big tip we're going to demonstrate now, is use a password manager. And that will help you with all of the tips that are above there about creating strong passwords, about not having to change them and encouraging bad practice. So we are now going to have a look at a demonstration. Let me just stop my screen share and remove my presentation. And I'm going to reshare my screen again. Okay, so hopefully, yes, we can see that there. So we've got here a Windows 11 computer where we're going to run our demonstration. Now, we're going to look here how a password manager can help us. Now, full disclosure here, we use and recommend KeeperSecurity. And there are many other password managers that are out there, such as 1Password, Dashlane, Bitwarden, KeePass. We use KeeperSecurity as it's the most flexible and the most secure cloud-based solution that's out there at the moment. The product is continuously evolving and being developed, and the support is excellent. So let's have a look at what KeeperSecurity looks like. I have it installed on my computer here, and you can see it on the taskbar here. Let's launch this here. I'm just going to bring up some additional information. I'm going to need to do this. Okay, so here we have KeeperSecurity, the application on my Windows desktop. It looks the same on Mac as well. And we have to log into our account. So we have a demo account set up here. I'm just going to press next. And the first question it asks me is, rather than asking me for my password, it's actually asking me for my 2FA code to access my KeeperSecurity. So let me just pop that 2FA code into the screen here. And you'll notice as well, again, if you're on a managed computer at work, and that computer is encrypted, it's managed, it's got a strong password, you can remove the friction by only requiring 2FA request every 30 days. We're going to keep it every log on just to emphasize the point. Click next, and then we have to enter our password. So I'm going to pop in my password. Now, this is the key bit of information with password managers. The only password you ever need to remember is your password manager master password. All the other passwords are remembered by the tool. So this password here is the only one we need to remember. If I click login, that's great. So this is our Keeper security. And you can see here on screen, I have some folders here. You can see by the icon there, and I have some what are called records. These are individual passwords. Let's open up one of the records by clicking on it. And on the right here, you'll see there's the title I've given it. That's the username. There's the password. I can click the I to expose that password if I need to be able to see it on screen. And there's the website address that it applies to. And this bit here is very important. It's what makes the password manager work for you. Now, not only do you get the desktop application to store your passwords, and these are all kept in the cloud, by the way, we also have another application which plugs into your browser. So let me open up Microsoft Edge, for example, here. And you can see here on my taskbar is a little icon here, which is the Keeper icon. Now, if I click on that icon, it's already signed in, and you can control how frequently you need to do that, and have timeouts to log it out in case you're worried that someone else may have access to your computer. But there's a search feature in here. So if I just search for 365, for example, there we go, you'll see there are a couple of records that appear. I can drop down and look at the same information that I was looking at a minute ago in the desktop application. And I have little copy buttons next to everything as well, so I can just copy and paste passwords and paste them into my website there. So let's just see how easy is this to use. I'm going to create, first of all, back in my desktop application, I'm just going to create a new password. And we're going to do this manually, and then I'll show you how we can do that automatically, to get the tool working hard for you, so you don't have to remember passwords. We just click Create New, and we choose Record. We have some other options as well, folder, shared folder. We'll come back to those in a moment. Let's click Record. And I'm just going to give this a title here. Let's call this Test 1, 2, 3. And then Next. So there's my title. I've just given it. I can give it a login name. Now, quite often we all log in with our email address. So Keeper is very helpful. It brings up suggestions from other login names that we've used on other sites. So that's the site I'm going to create. Password. How do I create a long password? How do I make it strong? How do I make it complex? Just click the dice. And the little dice there now created a 20-character strong password. I might want something longer. I can just drag the slider up and my password gets longer and longer. If I click the I to expose it, you'll see as I drag there, the password is randomly changing all the time. You don't have to remember this. The tool does it for you. You can also choose whether to include letters, numbers, or special characters as well. And the other important thing is to put in the website address of the tool that you are going to be logging into. And once we've done that, we just hit save. And that password is now in our vault here. And if I go back to my browser, and if I go back to my extension and type in the word test this time, you'll see there it is there. It's already there. Okay, so really easy to create passwords manually. But the tool can do so much more. It can do all this automatically for you. So I'm going to demonstrate something. We're going to try and sign up for a fantastic free tool that's on the internet called ClickUp. Now, ClickUp is a project management tool. It's completely free to use with some certain storage limitations. From their website here, there's a sign up button. Let's sign up for ClickUp. I need to put my email address in there. My browser's remembered that for me. Click Next. And the next page we'll get from ClickUp is asking us to create our password. And you'll see here, Keeper, no records have been found. Would you like to create a new record? It's trying to help me. Let's click Create. So straight away, I've got a title here. So I'm going to call this not sign up because it's picked up the name of the page. This is ClickUp. It's got my username. It's already generated a random password and it's put in the website address. Let's click Save. And now click Fill. Okay, my name I may need to replace. Let's just put that in as normal. My email address is there. My random password is there. Let's agree to the terms and conditions and play with ClickUp. And that has now created the account. We'd need to put a confirmation code in, but you'll see just how easy that is to create a record. If I go back to my extension here and we search for ClickUp, you'll find the record is there. So next time I visit ClickUp, I will just use the tool to automatically sign in. In fact, let's see that in action. I'm just going to use another demonstration site, royalmail.com. And we all have to use this occasionally to track our deliveries or send items or buy postage. So I already have a password in my browser, in my Keeper for Royal Mail. And there it is there. Now what I can do, let me just change the page here. From the extension, I've typed in Royal. I can click this one button here, click to fill. This will, 1, take me to royalmail.com. 2, it fills in my username and password automatically. And 3, I'm in. As simple as that. I didn't have to remember a single username, a single password. Keeper Security knew that that username and password was related to royalmail.com, and it got us signed in. Now let's see how Keeper can help us change our password as well. So if we do have that occasion where we have to change our password, how do I do that and do it easily? Well, let's use the example in Royal Mail here. I'm going to go to my accounts. I'm going to go to settings. And there's a link here, password. Now, this varies website to website. And here we are, change your password. And we could have to enter our current password. We have to create a new password, and we have to confirm the new password. But Keeper's clever. Would you like Keeper to change your password? Yes, please. So I click yes. So it says here, click the lock icon within the form for the old or current password, and then click next. So in current password, the little lock icon's just appeared here. Let's click that once, and that puts in my current password. Now it's automatically moved on. New password. Now click the lock icon within the form that's asking for your new password, then click next. So I've got to put it in here, and I've got to put it in confirm. Okay, so there is an old password and there is a new password. I promise you they're different. Let's click save. And now I'm going to click save here on Royal Mail's website to confirm that. Did that work? Well, there's no warnings or errors. So let's log out and see what happens when we try and log back in. So was the change successful? Yes, I believe it was. Let's try this out. Log in. Would you like to also fill? Yes, please. There it comes with the new password that we just changed, and we're straight in. Very simple indeed. I want to show you now how we use two-factor authentication with the password manager, with Keeper Security. So in this instance, I'm going to turn on in Microsoft 365 my two-factor authentication. If you haven't done this, do it today. And I'll show you how you can do it easily. Once you're signed into office.com, click your name in the top right corner and view accounts. Now this account, I've purposely turned off the two-factor authentication. Security information, this is where we configure the verification methods, update information. And this will show me the different 2FA methods that I've got registered with Microsoft at the moment. At the moment, there are none. Your account may look the same. It's very simple. Click Add Sign-In Method. And what is the method you want to add? Now, you can say phone, and they'll send you a 6-digit number to your mobile where you can enter a code, and that will then use your mobile phone and text messaging. That's not the most secure form of 2FA. And if you have no service, it can be a bit unreliable. So we're going to use an authenticator app. I'm going to click add. Now, straight away, Microsoft want you to use the Microsoft Authenticator app. It is a great app. Absolutely highly recommend you download and install the Microsoft Authenticator app. If you don't want to use the Microsoft app and you want to combine everything into your password manager or whatever it might be, you might be wanting to share some 2FA codes as well. This is where the password manager can help. We're going to use a different authenticator app in this instance. So I'm going to click that link and I'm going to click next. We get a QR code to scan. What do we scan it with? I want to put the password in Keeper. I don't want to, I can't use my smartphone here. Well, there's a clever function in Keeper that helps us with this. Let's go back to Keeper. I'm going to find my Microsoft 365 password. Now, it was here in the list, but I could search for it, 365, and I get a couple of suggestions. My M365. Here's the record with my username and password. I'm going to click the pencil. And I'll now scroll down a little bit. There's an option here to add two-factor code. Let's click that. And we can manually enter what's called a secret key to create the two-factor code. But the QR code is a pictorial form of that key. So let's scan it. I'm going to click scan. And we get now a little window we can drag around. It's like a camera lens on the screen. So let's minimize Keeper. There's our QR code. If I put the frame over the QR code, it finds it automatically. And look, my 2FA code is here. If I click the little eye, there's my numbers, and every 30 seconds they'll renew. So let's go save. Okay, and I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to click on the I button, 923157. So I'm going to click next, enter the 6-digit code on your app, 923167, if my memory serves me correct. It didn't. Okay, no problem. Let's go up to our keeper icon here. Let's clear our search result. We can see there are 2 matching records for this website at Microsoft.com. There is my M365. Let's click the 3 dots, copy the 2FA code that's there, and I'm going to paste that with Control-V in the box, click next. Wow, done. So next time I sign into Microsoft now from a new device, I'll get prompted for that 2FA code. I'll explain to you in a minute how you can enter that easily, no matter where you are. Let's now jump. Sorry, this is rapid fire. We only have a few minutes. So let's jump back to the vault here. I want to show you some business functions that you will find extremely useful over and above using it for your own personal use. So we talked about here, let's clear the search results. We talked about how you can create folders. You can create what are called shared folders as well. So I'm going to click create new. I'm going to create a shared folder. And I'm going to call this factory. So I'm going to share any passwords in here with my factory team. And I'm not going to set any user permissions because I want to be in charge of this folder. And the people that I'm going to invite to this folder of passwords, do I want them to have view only rights, or do I want them to have the ability to edit or edit and share? I only want to maintain them. So I'm going to click edit and click create. So we've now got a new folder here called factory. Now, if I go over to the right-hand side, I can go to users now, and I can click the pencil icon, and I can add another user in my organization who also uses Keeper Security, Bob Harris. I can click that, and Bob now has access, when I click save, to the factory passwords. Now, I want Bob to use my ClickUp account. Now, this is really bad practice. Bob should have his own ClickUp account. Sharing accounts is bad. I'm just using this for demonstration how you can share a password. I'm literally going to drag ClickUp into factory, and I'm going to move it there. Okay. Let me go back to a different browser now. I'm going to open up Firefox. And Firefox here is actually signed in. Keeper hopefully is signed in. Here it goes. It's signed in as Bob. Okay, if I click on Data Vault here, it'll take me to Bob's online Keeper Security Vault, and it will automatically sign me in. And you'll see here under Factory, there's John's ClickUp password. Okay, so if I make any changes to that, if I edit it as Bob, I'll call it ClickUp123 and save that. Okay. If I minimize this and go back to in fact, it's already showing inside John's Keeper Security, we've got ClickUp123, instant synchronization. You can also share records externally. So if you have a customer service type set up and you need to share passwords with end users or customers, you can do that as well. So let's just pick one. Well, let's pick our ClickUp one. I can right click that. Okay, let's not do that one. Let me right click my Gmail. I have the option here to do a one-time share. This lets me share the password with somebody else. Let's click one-time share and then create the one-time share for this particular record. And it has an expiry. So after a fixed period of time, this share will no longer be accessible. We're going to keep it to an hour and click generate. And we get a URL, which we can send to the end user. And there's also a suggested message here you can paste into an email. Let's just copy that link. I'm going to go back to Firefox here. And I'm just going to paste that into a new tab so you can see what this looks like. This link, when clicked on by the recipient, they will see this. Now, once that link's been used once in a browser or on a device, it cannot be used on another device, and it will expire after that time. But here we've got the username, we've got the password, they can be copied, and you can then provide access to that record to someone outside your organization. Okay. One final thing I want to show you, business related, and this probably is the most powerful part. Security audit. These are all of John's passwords, and you can see they're all strong, with the exception of these two here, these rubbish passwords I've created for this purpose. And you can see they are weak. In fact, worse than that, you'll see they are reused, which is worst case scenario. What does that password look like? Well, let's click on this. And I'm going to click on the I. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The most common password used according to all the authorities out there. So if I click on this one, it's exactly the same. And Keeper's highlighting this is a high-risk password. Do you want to resolve it? Using security audit functions here, you can quickly, once you've imported your passwords into the password manager, it will identify the risks for you. It will identify weak passwords, and it will identify where you've reused passwords. You can then use those instances to log into that website, change the password, use the password manager to create a new password for you. And I talked about importing. If I click on my name up here, go to settings, because when you start using a password manager, you don't have to start from scratch. There is an import function here. You can import from your browser passwords. Okay, so if you're using Chrome or Edge, you can import from those. Your next question is probably, why don't I just use the browser instead of something like KeeperSecurity? KeeperSecurity and other password managers are way more secure than your browser password manager. And with the integration that comes, there is no advantage in using the browser password manager. If your Microsoft account or Google account is compromised, so are all your passwords. You could use the same argument for the password manager, but there's more data in your browser account, which could potentially be an attractive target. So when you're importing, you can import from the browser. You can import from a CSV file, so you've got them in Excel format. You can do it that way. If you're using an existing password manager and you're switching to KeeperSecurity, you can see all the different password managers there. It's quite capable of importing from. And when we click on one of these, there are specific instructions for each method. KeeperSecurity, the other advantage of using a password manager, if I just click this link here, is that it's cross-platform compatible. You can use KeeperSecurity, for example, on Windows, Mac, and Linux. The browser extension works with Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, believe it or not, Edge, Opera, and Brave. So depending on which platform you're using, the extension will work. It's compatible with Apple and Google mobile devices as well. And under Enterprise, you get some additional functionality to help you manage the security of the passwords. I'm going to stop my screen share. Okay, so hopefully you found that Lunch and Learn episode thought-provoking. How are you managing your passwords right now, personally, and what about inside your organization? You know, if you're using a little book in your drawer, got post-it notes, or you've got that bit of sellotape we saw earlier on, Word files for the passwords, even if they're password protected, you need to be talking to us, your IT experts, to help you implement a strategy to manage your passwords better. And there's much more to a password manager than just getting it installed as well. You need to drive in your business user adoption. And that can be done using a number of techniques of messaging, through enforcement, such as disabling browser password managers, and also by policy. Make sure you have a good password policy in your staff handbook. We can help you with all of those things. If you found this information useful today, please feel free to get in touch with us via our website. There's a contact form on there and our phone number if you want to reach out directly. Next month's Lunch and Learn webinar is entitled Master Microsoft Teams. Don't miss it. I'm going to share some great ideas with you about how you can use Teams better. Look out for the registration link on our monthly email newsletter and on our website homepage. So take care and thank you for joining. Look forward to seeing you next time.